Welcome back to the program. Today, among the many accomplishments the Trump administration has had over the past 6 months, they have now moved to rescind the Biden-era Veterans Affairs policy that pushed illegal abortions at VA hospitals. Earlier this year, an organization known as the Restoration of America released a report showing the abortion pill is significantly more dangerous than the FDA data suggests. According to the study, 1 in 10 women who take the abortion pill experience serious complications, making it 22 times more dangerous than reported by federal authorities. Joining me now to discuss is founder and CEO of Restoration of America, Doug Truax. Doug, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me on.
I guess whenever I see these revised studies, my first question is, well, which one do we believe? The one that, came out at one time or this new one? And how do we know which one's more accurate?
Well, when it comes to the dangers of mifepristone, we can be assured that it's way worse than they've ever advertised. I mean, Planned Parenthood still says, it's safer than Tylenol. And so what we found through looking at through claims data and being verified by OBGYNs is that this is actually a very dangerous drug. And people need to know that going into it, because if they knew that out of the gate, they would never take it. And so that's one of those things that as we go forward here, we just want to make sure that the public is very aware. It's hurting women. Here at Restoration of America, we're very much concerned about life of unborn babies, and that's what we look for all the time. But this is one of those areas where if you feel like you can't trust your government to tell you the truth about the drug, then who can you trust? And so we got to get the FDA to pay attention to this, get it out of the mail for sure, and then we'd be saving a lot of lives, and we'd be saving a lot of women too, and the safety mechanism would be back in place. That's really what we're after here.
Let me play devil's advocate to be fair here. I'm sure there are some who would say, because you're a pro-life organization, you might want to manipulate data to make this drug look more dangerous than it is, because you simply don't want women using it when it really is maybe a viable option. How would you answer that?
Well, I think that it's easy to see that if you're going to compare it against the advertisement of, it's as safe as Tylenol, well, it's definitely not like that. I mean, think about the nature of this drug in particular. You take it and it creates a miscarriage. So it's not, you can't say, it's going to be deadly for one person and completely safe for the other, because the unborn baby's inside the mother. So it's obviously much more dangerous than they've been advertising. And so we go through the claims information. This is real world claims information verified by 2 different sources. And we're challenging anybody on the other side to say, hey, how is this wrong? And they can't come up with anything on that, because it's obviously much more dangerous than they ever advertised. And we're saying that it's upwards of 10% of the women who take it. And you look at revised data, we're thinking that it's going to be closer to 13%. So when you think about any kind of drug out there that has any kind of serious consequences on that level, no matter what it is, the FDA is going to take a very hard look at taking it off the market. And so that's all we're saying is, like, the FDA needs to lean back into this, do the studies. Senator Hawley has been pushing the FDA to take another hard look at it. They need to do that. And it needs to come out of the mail for sure, because if it's that dangerous and a woman has an ectopic pregnancy and she hasn't been to the doctor and she takes this drug, it's probably going to kill her. And so that's one thing in of itself we got to take a look at. It's like a health crisis that we need to take a look at this. And so it's certainly more dangerous than they're advertising.
You've mentioned the drug's name, and a lot of people hear about the morning after pill or Plan B. Are they all one and the same?
No, mifepristone is way more dangerous. This is actually, you know for sure you're pregnant. Typically what would happen before it got put in the mail so widely during the Biden administration was that a woman would have to go to the doctor and make sure that they were verified that they were a certain amount of weeks along, because once you get past 7-8 weeks, you don't want to be taking it. But then if it's in the mail, then you don't have a doctor's visit. You're taking it way too late in the process. And then so now you've got a situation where you're maybe you have an ectopic pregnancy and now your life's in danger. You end up in the ER. Or you have a terrible consequence of, the natural course of this is a woman's having an abortion in her bathroom. And these are things that we have as a country. We got to take a step back and say, let's do this differently. At the very least, get it out of the mail, go back to the standard of having to go to the doctor and talk about it, because it's a major, this is not the morning after, this is the full on, this is going to force a pregnancy on a woman. And we got to be careful about what we do with putting in the mail.
I think that's a totally legitimate point. When you can order these things in the mail that could really could hurt you. When you talk about the claims that you've seen and the data, what kinds of harm are we talking about?
Well, the most serious is what I'm talking about. I've mentioned a couple of times. The woman has an ectopic pregnancy and she doesn't know it, and then she takes the drug.
She's just taken a pregnancy test. She thinks she's pregnant. It's actually ectopic, and
Yep.
then she takes this drug.
Yes, yes. And then aside from that, it's major bleeding, all kinds of terrible things sepsis has been happening too. So these are things that we find that are women who've been to the ER after they've taken it, and so you have to go through the data and tie the two events to each other, because this is not anything that the producer of the drug wants to talk about or Planned Parenthood wants to talk about. They just say, oh, it'll come in the mail and everything will be fine. Well, that's not the case at all. So we've taken a look at this data, and when you put it all together, you can say, we know who took it and we know how many adverse consequences they were, like the sepsis, like the internal bleeding. There's women out there now who can't have kids because they took this drug. And so these are the kinds of things that if there was anything remotely like what actually happens, it was on the label as opposed to 0.5%. If it actually said 11% or 12%, serious consequences, a lot of women would say, no, I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to go see my doctor for sure.
Right. So where is this in the process? This study has come out. What happens next?
Well, now it's coming down to we need the FDA to take a hard look at going back to the standards we had before Biden came in. And, the Biden administration was just hell-bent on more and more abortions, no matter what the situation. And so they put it in the mail, especially during COVID. They said, we got to get it out there. Never should have been in the mail. And so we need to go back to the original standards of in order to get this drug, you have to go see a doctor, get examined, know where you're at in the process. And maybe it's not maybe you're past the time you can actually take it. So we have to go back to that. And you're right. We're a pro-life organization, but I think there's about 600,000 abortions a year from this drug, and it's going out in the mail. And so then you also have 60,000 women a year that are being harmed by it. And if we put it back in the mail, take it out of the mail and go back to the standards before, that's about 550,000 lives we'd be saving, plus all those women that were being hurt wouldn't be hurt as well. So it's a big win to go back to the original standards, and then we can keep having the conversation about abortion in this country and what needs to be done going forward. But this is a no-brainer. The FDA's got to take it out of the mail.
I appreciate your time. This is a really hot topic, as you well know. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Michelle.
When we